everybody. Welcome to Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the Belly Up Sports ERSCA race for the Belly Up Cup. Dom Santino alongside David Westergreen and Emily Harlan, of course, down in the pit area. We are here for the Peak Antifreeze 200 at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. David, are you ready to go for chase race number 4?
I am ready. I've had quite enough of baseball this weekend, so I'm ready for some racing here tonight. Indianapolis for the Peak Antifreeze 200. I think it's going to be quite a show given the way last weekend finished. As we recall, Ryan Lutz took home the win at Auto Club, making a last lap pass on Chris Wright and Nick Massey to further draw his points lead out to 20 points. I think that's going to make it very difficult for the rest of these guys to catch up unless Lutz runs into a problem tonight.
He definitely has took a firm grasp on the Harpoon's design chase for the Belly Up Cup. Anyone track him down and stop the run he has been on? Emily, are you excited for tonight?
I am very excited. It's going to be interesting to see how this one goes. You know, last race having 0 cautions was pretty interesting. So I'm also interested to see kind of how Ryan Lutz does. I mean, obviously he's the one to beat here, so we'll see how he's able to handle that pressure. I know we talked to him last week, and he was kind of saying, like, bring it, I'm ready, you know. He seems to thrive off of pressure. So we'll see how this one goes here tonight. Either way, I think it's going to be a very exciting race.
Hopefully on your end we can have a little bit more action down there in the pit area, although it would be nice to see another checkered race again and be as exciting as we saw last week.
You know, last week I predicted that we wouldn't have that caution-free. We would have that caution-free race. I'm not going to make that prediction this week. Indianapolis is a one-groove track. The track is 113 degrees right now, hot and slick, and these guys are going to be trying to pass, you know, into a one groove where there's not going to be a whole lot of room and there's going to be some contact made. I think some of these guys are going to misjudge the straightaways. You know, bump drafting, because Indianapolis is so full of these straightaways that allow these big Xfinity cars to pull up on each other. There's going to be dive bombs into the corners. I do not think we're going to be going caution-free, though.
All right, there we go. You heard it from David again this week. We'll see if I'm guessing he'll probably be 2 for 2 in the latest predictions. Speaking of predictions, do we want to go ahead and make a pick for this week or the race here today?
Yeah, let's do it. But let's start with Carlos. He seems to get last pick every time. Let's let Carlos pick first, and then we'll bounce off of Carlos. Cameron Rich again. So 2 in a row for Carlos on Cameron Rich.
You guys go ahead. I'm always the first to go, so I'll go last this week.
Sticking with his guns. I like it, Carlos. All right, David. Who's going to be the one to do it?
I'll bite the bullet and take Ryan Lutz. 3 in a row. It's happening. Lutz is on a mission.
Right. I mean, someone had to do it.
We didn't take him last week, you know.
Yeah, I was just wondering who was going to be the one to take him. I knew all 3 of us were probably thinking the same thing, so. I'll go with Burrell this week. I think I picked him last week. I'll go with him again this week. Kind of sitting second in the points, but kind of going to have to win if he wants any shot of getting back into this thing.
I believe he's sitting 3rd in the points now. Nick Massey's in front of him by 9.
Still, he's got to win to get it to have any shot at this championship.
You absolutely correct, sir.
All right. Well, I am going to go with Nick Massey today. 1, 2, and 3, and 4 in points.
Yep.
we picked the top 4. So.
Yep. It might be risky.
Thanks, anyone.
That might be risky. We got a bunch of new faces in the race tonight. We've got Kyle Smalley, fastest in practice. Marcus Adams in the 18 car. We've also seen Chad Frankenfield in the 94. So 3 new names that have shown some speed in other leagues. I think those guys might have something to say about this race. We also got Chad Bear there this week, our Daytona Road Course winner. So some part-time guys showing up. I also wouldn't count on any of the non-playoff drivers as well. Thinking about guys like Colin Fambro and Dylan Thomas. So, a lot of guys are going to have something to say about this race. We all picked the top 3 in points, though, because it just seems like those guys are able to rise to the challenge, rise to the occasion, and go out there and perform well when it matters most. Qualifying at Indianapolis is going to be long. These guys have to go out pretty quickly, I think, in order to get both of their laps in, a minute a lap and that warm-up lap. They can't afford to wait much past the 2-minute mark in qualifying for that track to cool down. An interesting little tidbit that a lot of guys do is they'll sit there and watch the track temp, and if the track temp drops a couple of degrees, they'll go out. If the cloud cover goes, they'll go out trying to get every little advantage they can. So we watched Dylan Thomas run around this 2.5-mile oval, or square, really. It's more of a rectangle than an oval. Thomas Sherman, the 17 car. Going to be a bit before anybody puts any time down as they're trying to get their laps in. Track temp's down to 110.
You want to take a guess? Who's going to win the pole?
Give me Scott Crump. It's been a while since he's been on pole, and he tends to be really quick in these single car time trials.
Speaking of the 51 machine, there he is right there on the screen.
There he is. First car gets a lap down. It's Lutz and Thomas. First 2 to go. Lutz with a 54.29. Joe Francis tops him already, though. And Ethan Burrell even tops that. 1.32. That would have been good for 3rd in practice from Ethan Burrell, I believe. Or no, it wouldn't have been. The track is much slower right now. It's a little bit slick.
I think Massey just came across because the number 2 on the board.
Yep. Matthew Weeks up to 4th, now 5th, as Thomas Sherman jumps to 2nd.
Oh,
ooh, spinner for Indelicado. Thanks, Stein Miller there, 63 car. He'll likely be pretty good. Teammate of Ryan Lutz there. Late entry to the season, but has performed all right so far. There's Carlos's pit, Cameron Rich. Burrell's going to hit the line right now, see if he can prove that lap. He did not. Bayuk into the top 5. Here's the fastest man in practice, Kyle Smalley in the 09 car. Does he get into the top 5? No. Unless that was him coming across for his first lap.
Massey couldn't improve his 2nd lap either. He'll stay at number 3.
Chad Bear out there as well. Bear is 9th right now. Ryan Lutz is 8th with that 54.29. Ethan Burrell has run a 54.13. That is the time to beat everyone else out there. Brandon Key, Kyle Hanshaw, Kyle Smalley, Johnny Thomas, Colin Fambro, all trying to run the top lap and get that track position early. Tate Lytle, another one of our championship contenders, though maybe the furthest back of the guys who probably could win the championship still. Chris Wright up to 4th on the board. Cameron Rich 5th. Kyle Smalley top of the board. 54.05.
Zishan.
Zishan's got any speed. Zishan tends to like those plate tracks a little more than the Indianapolis types of tracks. Chris Wright trying to put a good time on the board.
Which is going to
need 2/10 to get the pole.
Lutz is going to have his work cut out for him. He's already sitting in the 12th spot here in the starting grid, so anyone else can jump and bump him down a little bit more. Looks like Lytle will start outside the top 15.
Qualifying over. Starting lineup is set. Kyle Smalley is your pole sitter. The new guy has come in and put a whooping on him. Wins both practice and qualifying for the pole.
Pressure's on now. Can he sweep it and take peak Antifreeze 200? Well, he'll definitely get a good starting spot starting there on the pole with Ethan Burrell to his outside.
Thomas Sherman, Nick Massey, second row there, third and fourth. Chris Wright in fifth. So for the three of our first five drivers are chase drivers, and our sixth and seventh driver in Cameron Rich and Matthew Bayek.
Francis throws a little difference maker in there in the 8th spot. That'll be Campbell and Weeks rounding out your top 10.
Campbell missing that first race of the playoffs for the birth of his son. Chad Frankenfield and points leader Ryan Lutz will come from 12th on the grid. Chad Bear 13th, the Daytona Road Course winner, and Colin Fambro 14th. And then league owner Johnny Thomas 15th.
Lytle 16th, another playoff driver. Then Dylan Thomas, Scott Crum 17th and 18th, and Nick Indelicato and Brandon Key will round out the top 20.
Playoff driver Jared Mogard's going to be coming from the back, but he's been doing that all playoffs. I think he ran into some bad luck last week that ended up kind of costing him the gap. And Mogard will now really need to just win out and have everyone else have some trouble in order to catch up for the championship. Richard Hines, Kyle Hanshaw, Josh Clark round out that top 24, the first 12 rows. Then to finish off the grid, it's Richard Lafferty, Michael Goodman, James Heater, second to last playoff driver there, Marcus Adams, and then Josh Adams in 29th. Really bad qualifying run for that 95 car.
Steinmiller, Brandon Scott, Harrison Talon, Z-Sean will start 33rd. Caleb Thompson and Casey Hatch will round out the starting order of 35 cars here for the peak Antifreeze 200. And ready to roll.
I'm interested to see if these guys, the Ethan Burrell and Ethan Burrell and Nick Massey kind of don't have much patience with the new guy there. They know they're racing for a championship and he's not, so they might try to go grab those lead points, knowing Ryan Lutz is kind of trapped back in the pack, and they might not be very gentle with the new guy.
No, I would assume that their foot is going to be to the floorboard and they're going to be ready to go and trying to check out. See if they can gap Ryan Lutz here a little bit when he battles through traffic.
Yeah,
I think they maybe even work together a little bit.
No, because they are competitors for the championship first and foremost. I mean, if their best bet is for Ryan Lutz to get involved in a crash back there in 12th place. So those guys are, fighting each other just as much as they're fighting Lutz. They just both need the same amount of luck in order to beat that 36 car. And with a one groove track and Lutz starting on the outside lane, I don't think it'll be all that easy for that 36 to move through the field. He's probably looking for a top 10 run today, nice and consistent. Keep all the fenders on it, and try to move next week. Check real quick. Next week is Talladega. Yes, indeed. So Talladega next week, that's much more of a chaotic race. Indianapolis coming before. This all sets the stage for a race at Richmond and then the championship race at Las Vegas.
Interesting today. Definitely could be big shakeup next week. Followed by Richmond and Vegas. Here we go. Green flag in the air from Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The peak Antifreeze 200 is underway. Race number 4 of the Harpoon's Design Chase for the Belly Up Cup.
Thomas Sherman's going to get second on Ethan Burrell there. A very early restart by Kyle Smalley to go ahead and grab the race lead. We'll see if the clean air benefits the newcomer to the series as Burrell, Massey, Wright all line up 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Smalley already trying to check out by half a second over Thomas Sherman in the second spot. Those 3 points, guys, you saw how bad or how good the bottom line is and gets the jump there. Sherman jumps in front of those points lead, or 2nd and 3rd in points. Now those two will have to work their way up from 3rd and 4th. Burrell already trying on Sherman.
Yep, Matthew Bayek trying to work his way around Joe Francis. Back in the field with the first side-by-side battle. Everyone else has strung out single file. And yeah, it's still single file all the way back. You see the train of cars here. That's the entire field on this front straightaway all at once.
It wasn't the start that Burrell and Massey were hoping for, but it was for Ryan Lutz. He was up to the top 10 for a second. Now Frankenfield has got by him for that 10th spot. Back to 11th. It was Lutz, but he was already challenging for a top 10 run right now.
Kyle Smalley has checked out. That is a huge lead this early in the race for Smalley. 0.8 of a second. We haven't seen anybody be able to pull out to a lead like that at all this season. As our first issue of the night, I think it's Casey Hatch in the 45. We'll see what tire wear happens. How long can these runs go? These guys kind of stuck behind each other, single file.
Almost a full second already for Smalley ahead of Sherman.
That's just really impressive stuff there. And maybe Smalley's a ringer, came in to go ahead and run and win Indianapolis on these guys. Certainly possible, as maybe Thomas Sherman's holding up Ethan Burrell a little bit.
Be possible as well. They've tucked in 4-car breakaway there from 2nd through 5th.
Tate Lytle's up way high in turn 2. He's dropping back in a hurry. So is Colin Fambro. Both Lytle and Fambro falling back pretty rapidly there. Man, Indianapolis just such a big speedway. It's kind of tough to tell how fast some of these guys are going. Lytle lost 4 or 5 spots there, but he wasn't really as off the pace as I thought he was. Mogard trying to get around Dylan Thomas.
Started around the 15th position, fell back to 19th, just ahead of Brandon Key inside the top 20.
Lytle with a tough start today. So is Josh Adams. Those guys are going to need to make their way up towards the front if they want to be able to get back into the points chase. Ethan Burrell has taken 2nd from Thomas Sherman. We'll see if that 37 can maybe run down the 09.
Wright has taken the 4th spot away from Nick Massey, chasing down Sherman as well now, looking for the 3rd spot.
If I know anything about Nick Massey and Chris Wright's driving styles, it's that Chris Wright is pushing it extra hard right now, and Nick Massey is taking it easy and letting his teammate go do all the work for him and then try to follow it through, take care of those tires in that 48 car. Last week it worked out for Chris Wright. He was able to get by Nick Massey, save a little bit less fuel doing it though, and wind up finishing 3rd.
Those two worked together about all the race last week. Looks like they're set to do it again here this week, as here comes right to the inside of Thomas Sherman.
3YTV multicam, kind of difficult to find battles at Indianapolis. It's so hard to run side by side here. Do what we can for you though, and I think a couple of battles throughout the field. I think 6th place just changed hands and Gerald Campbell went around Cameron Rich. Chad Frankenfield into 9th. Joe Francis kind of holding off our points leader Ryan Lutz. Lutz has not made too much progress into the top 10. In fact, he's still in 11th, which is 1 spot up from where he started in 12th.
5 laps in, and Smalley already 1.5 seconds now over Burrell. He is checking out and stretching his lead as it goes over 1.6 now.
It's a remarkable start here for Kyle Smalley. Just has absolutely put a bruising on the field here. And it could be kind of calculated by these guys. Playoff drivers want to, save the tires, expect a long green flag run and try to hold out till their pit stop. Chris Wright's starting to put some pressure on Ethan Burrell for that 2nd spot, though.
Did we split this race in half, or were you looking at the pit window for this one?
I think we can. I think we can go about 40 laps. I could be wrong on that, though. We start seeing guys come in at lap 30. I was completely wrong. So I'm expecting these guys to find a way to get in between 35 and 40 and try to divide it up. But again, a caution would completely eliminate that from a possibility, I think, in terms of pit strategy.
Now Smalley's putting about a tenth and a half a lap on these guys behind him. Gap about 1.8 now between him and Burrell.
Frankenfield drops to the inside on Cameron Rich. That's a battle for 8th place. Frankenfield driving the car vacated by Kendall Noah Player from earlier in the year. I believe that car finished in the top 10 at Talladega and Daytona.
Ryan Miller jumping out, looking for a pass.
A lot of these guys in the way back of the field, they have to make a pass just like you saw Hank and Chad do. You get alongside them on the back straightaway, and you just kind of have to force that other car that enters on the high side to drop back. You know, they can't hold that outside lane very well. It's just difficult to hang on up there and fight on the outside. Odds are you're just going to create an accident by doing that. So you have to yield the position entering these corners and run single file. It creates the style of racing we're kind of seeing right here.
Massey was able to get by Sherman. Bayou's chasing him down now for that top 5 spot.
Good run from Matthew Bayou, trying to get back into the points hunt a little bit. Falling a little bit further back for his liking, I'm sure. Ryan Lutz still hasn't cracked into the top 10. He has not been able to deal with Joe Francis. And I will say this track does not suit Ryan Lutz's driving style much at all. He much prefers those tracks where you're out of the gas for a really long time. The tires wear a ton, and you have to lift a whole lot. When you're in the gas a lot, I mean, I'm sure these guys are kind of barely blipping it through these corners. That's when Ryan Lutz kind of gets equalized by the track.
That's right, coming after Ethan Burrell here for the 2nd spot.
This is 2 seconds behind race leader Kyle Smalley. He is just checked out on these guys, and Burrell's going to back out of it early, let him in, not lose any time that is unneeded, and follow in the tire tracks of the 69, see what he's doing differently.
69 on the move. Burrell could not close the gap. He actually lost quite a bit of ground. And the 69 of Chris Wright now tracked down Smalley out front.
The guy I'm watching right now is Jared Mogard. He's started 21st. He's up to 16th on the grid now. He's bypassed Tate Lytle. Mogard kind of coming to the front. He's been able to make a lot of moves on the straightaways and really kind of ignore that far back starting spot. The other guy who's coming up through the field a good bit early in this race is Josh Adams. He's up to 19th from starting 29th.
These guys having to be aggressive here early, especially when they're in the championship hunt. Make up some points. Got to get up there with Chris Wright, Ethan Burrell, Nick Massey, Matthew Bayou, and Gerald Campbell. We're all inside the top 10.
And Cameron Rich too. Ryan Lutz in 11th, Weeks in 13th. The top heavy playoff field, but we certainly have some guys up here performing well that are not involved in our playoffs, including race leader Kyle Smalley, who is often not even on the broadcast window because he's so far out in front right now.
Oh, I've been watching. Nick Wright's holding him steady at this. Chris Wright is holding him steady at this point. That's kind of stayed right there, just a tick over 2 seconds. It hasn't really expanded in the last lap and a half.
Wonder if maybe Chris Wright's got something for him if he can get a caution, get caught back up. Chris Wright looks very good. He tore through the field. He's made his way up to second. He's in striking distance of Kyle Smalley. If he can get caught back up, if he can make up some ground under green. The gains are just so minimal right now, though. First side-by-side battle I see is way back in the field. It's Kyle Hanshaw, Josh Clark, and Marcus Adams, all side-by-side battling way back. Tate Lytle goes around Jared Mogard, so Mogard might have worn the good off the tires of that 00 car.
The thing that I just kind of looked at right now is our top 5 are starting to spread each other out too. It's half a second from Wright to Burrell. It's just about 0.3 of a second from Burrell to Massey, and then another half second from Massey to Sherman. So we've gone 12 laps green here. They're starting to spread out just a little bit.
Kind of expected, though not necessarily a surprise. Ryan Lutz trying to enter the top 10. He's on the inside of Joe Francis, and Francis putting up about the hardest fight I've seen anyone put up to a car on the inside. He did not get past entering turn 4. In fact, Chad Bear and Joe Francis working against the points leader. A little bit of contact back there.
Not making it easy on Ryan Lutz.
Yep, Lutz has to fall in behind.
He'll slot in between Bear and Francis here, still in the 11th position.
And that's what you get when you're the points leader, though, is you get everybody's best effort. They know they can hold the points leader behind. They're doing a good job.
And that's where Lutz has got to be patient here. He knows he needs to move forward, but put himself in a position where he makes contact or gets in trouble with trying to battle with Francis here for a top 10 right now this early.
Right in front of him there for 7. Chad Frankenfield and Gerald Campbell also going after each other side by side. Chad, another newcomer to the series, much like our race leader, and he's trying to get around Gerald Campbell, but he's going to lose that spot. He might even lose this spot to Cameron Rich. Rich has to back out of it entering turn 1. Early in this race, we're seeing a lot of give and take with these guys, and you saw Cameron Rich back out. Now he's going to go after Chad Frankenfield, but you know, late in the race, I don't think you're going to see that guy on the outside lift like that, and it's certainly going to cause these guys to run into each other, I think.
Comes Rich back under Frankenfield, looking to get that position again.
Frankenfield's probably going to lose the spot here. Yep, that outside lane just does not have any momentum carry to it. You can't really hold people back up there, and it's much more of a one groove track than maybe any of the other ones we've run. I mean, last week at Auto Club, you saw guys be able to run that top lane, get a little bit of run down the straightaways and hold somebody off. Here, though, it does not seem to be working like that.
While that was going on, here comes Joe Francis. He's caught the back of Frankenfield while they're doing battle, and he's got Ryan Lutz and Chad Bear in tow.
Fast race-winning cars all right here. 50, 36, and 91 have 6 wins amongst them this season. 91's going after Ryan Lutz.
Comes Chad Bear to the inside down the back stretch. The 3 and 4, he's going to get the run, and he'll take that spot away. Up to the 11th spot goes Chad Bear.
Ryan Lutz just not able to do anything with kind of stuck in behind Joe Francis. I think that 36 would be pretty good if he could get it up into the top 5, but just completely unable to make moves in the single groove track, and the only time he did, he made contact and ended up losing that spot.
Johnny Thomas coming down pit road.
Maybe a two-stop strategy here for Johnny Thomas, an intentional two-stop strategy. Or maybe he hit the wall. Either one is possible. But you won't go a lap down if you pit here. So at this track, these cars, I think, can make that pit stop, that short pit, and give it as best they can to try to run those fast laps, gain some track position that way without risk of falling a lap down to the leaders should the caution come. Ooh, Tate Lytle sideways off turn 4. Back a little bit further back from this battle. Chris Wright has held Kyle Smalley at exactly a 2-second gap.
It's gone up a little bit, it's gone down a little bit, but it's staying consistent. Wright doing a good job of keeping Smalley in check, and he's pulled himself away. Burrell now by almost a second.
Burrell falling into the clutches of Nick Massey. I think we're getting ready to have a battle for third.
Massey's been closing. Burrell pulled away just a little bit. Just a few seconds ago, but now Massey's closed back in.
A couple of guys looking for Ryan Lutz to have a day like he is having. They certainly want Lutz to be going for it overly aggressively and wind up hurting himself later in this race and losing all those points. That's what they desperately need, because even if these guys finished, 3rd and 4th right now, they would still only gain about 10 points on Ryan Lutz. And let's not forget about the halfway points as well. That is half of the gap between Lutz and this group. 10 points, that would be a huge gain for Nick Massey, for Ethan Burrell, if Lutz doesn't get into the top 10 and get those early stage points at halfway.
Oh, but you know, these two want to get up front. They want to find a way to get Smalley and get those bonus points for leading laps as well. Got their work cut out for them just about as much as Ryan Lutz has battling through the field. They got a big gap between them and the race leader.
Lutz underneath Chad Bear back there for 11th spot once again. That's a very tight battle. It looks like Frankenfield might have burned the rubber off of that 94 car. Kind of holding up Joe Francis a little bit. Lutz does get back by Bear.
Got a chance to pick up a couple spots here right away. If he can get under Francis and then under Frankenfield, he can crack the top 10, get up there to the 9th position if he gets both of them.
See if Joe Francis can get to and get around Chad Frankenfield in that 94. It looks like Chad's falling back a little bit. You can see the big gap from Gerald Campbell back to Frankenfield. So yeah, let's go to it. I think this is a good time. Race is pretty clean right now. Not a whole lot of battles on track. Let's bring the noise here for the first time since Carlos has been producer, and for the first time since earlier in the season.
All right, welcome back, everybody. David, we had a ton of action during that make some noise segment. Ryan Lutz is on the move, and he's solidly into the top 10 now.
Yeah, all of a sudden, the battle between Lutz and Francis heated up right there. They were getting sideways, bouncing off each other. Francis hit the wall, and Lutz shoots on by Frankenfield and Francis and has gapped them both already. In fact, Chad's heading to pit road. Oh, and Tate's going to slide sideways. I don't know if he spun or if he made it to pit road. I think he did.
He's on pit road.
Tate Lytle with an impressive move that nearly cost him the race early on. He and Chad Frankenfield headed down this long pit road on the front straightaway.
I think it's pretty easy to see as we were riding on board there. with Francis and Lutz. Tires starting to wear off here as we're 20 laps in on this one. See Lutz's car getting kind of loose there as he was trying to battle with those guys.
So Lutz still might have the best tires of anybody in this group, though. I think he was definitely saving his stuff because he has blown away Chad Bear and Joe Francis. Those were guys he was stuck behind for the longest time. And now he's already run down and he's about to pass Gerald Campbell. So Ryan Lutz on the charge here, 23 laps into the race, as we expected, but I think waiting for the tires to come to him versus trying to overdrive the car early in the run.
Smalley has extended his lead by a good half second while we were at the break too, up 2.5 almost on Chris Wright. It's 3.4 back to Ethan Burrell.
I'd like to thank Brantley Roden and Harpoon Designs for that Bring the Noise segment. They're always supporting us up here and gave us the idea for it way back at Daytona. So thanks for Brantley for tuning in, and hopefully we're putting on a good race for you tonight.
Sherman trying to claw his way back up into the battle for third and fourth. As he caught Burrell, but has not been able to really do anything with him. And here they come down pit road, at least Nick Massey.
A lot of guys coming down pit road. I was just looking back at the cars who pitted. Johnny Thomas currently the top one of those. Everybody trying to make this thing a two-stop race. It looks like 25, 50, and 75 are going to be the strategy for Ethan Burrell, Nick Massey, Matthew Bayuk, Ryan Lutz. These guys sticking to that two-stop strategy. We'll see when Kyle Smalley wants to come down pit road.
I was going to say, if they're going to split it in two, this would be the time to come right at the 25 mark. Everybody comes down pit road. Trouble, is that
Campbell
having issues?
Missed his pit box entirely there. He's going to have to back up and get it in at a weird angle, and that's going to cost Gerald Campbell a ton of track position.
Going to be the first one off pit road, then Massey. Lutz going to come out right behind him.
Lutz gained a spot on Bayuk on pit road. He had a better pit road than did the 6th place car, and now Cameron Rich and Thomas Sherman heading to pit road. So is Chad Bear. Gerald's going to go a lap down from that mistake on pit road. So he'll need the lead to cycle around and Kyle Smalley to go ahead and hit. So that Gerald doesn't get trapped one lap down.
Right, staying out with Smalley here. Delicato up to the 3rd spot, then Francis, Week, your top 5. Crump, Adams, Steinmiller, Drums, and Key rounding out your top 10 right now as we cycle through pit stops.
Yeah, everybody we'll see what this group wants to do. I don't know if they can make it all the way to 38. I'm guessing that because this such a huge group has decided to go ahead and two-stop this, that there's no way you can make it all the way on one stop in this race. I just don't think there's any way you can do it. Chris Wright's coming down pit road now.
I was thinking, and there comes, is that Weeks diving off too?
Yep, Matthew Weeks heading down pit road as well. Brandon Scott heading to pit road. You see the advantage that Tate Lytle got over some of these guys. Like Ryan Lutz is going around Thomas Sherman. Lutz was 8th, Sherman was 4th when we got ready to come down pit road there. So just by short pitting a little bit, you can get a lot of speed and a lot of track position. Wonder if Smalley might lose his advantage here to these cars on fresh tires because he's staying out a little too long.
That'll be interesting to see for sure. He's got almost 9 seconds on Indelicato, who's been pushed up to the 2nd position as we cycle through.
Here comes Kyle Smalley now.
All right, so there it is. I was just going to say, we'll see when he decides to dive down pit road, lap 27. Here comes the 09 car.
Delicato about spins it on pit road. Joe Francis also heading down. He's going to have to fix some damage, I believe. Chris Wright might get passed by Tate Lytle. Lytle using that short pit strategy to gain track position. That might be one of the best moves of the race so far. Lytle up here running with Lutz and Wright. Ooh. Almost a wreck there.
TV time. Looks like he might be going backwards here a little bit though. Wright, Sherman, Rich look like they're all going to freight train him here a little bit.
I think you can hold guys back on those older tires with this one groove track. I don't think you can hold guys back on the top lane with older tires on the one groove track. Like if Tate had been able to let Lutz by without getting, dive bombed by Wright and then Sherman and then Rich, he might have been able to make those guys work for it a little better, but at least now he's in the battle for the top 5 after this. And you're about to see Kyle Smalley's been passed by Wright. He's been passed by Massey. He's been passed by Frankenfield. The 09 is going to have some work to do to get back to the race lead. Johnny Thomas would currently be the leader if when everyone pits. He is the one who pitted first and has gained the most time on it. So the short pit strategy has gained him track position. It might be a little harder for Johnny to hold it off. I think he pitted at like lap 15. So Johnny's done almost an entire run on the tires that, whereas, Kyle Smalley's going to be on brand new rubber.
Yeah, Ethan Burrell is closing in. He's within it's over half a second. And there he goes. By Johnny.
So Ethan now takes over what would be the de facto race lead. Kyle Smalley is around Nick Massey. He's going to try to get Chad Frankenfield here on the back straightaway. The next car in front of him would be Johnny Thomas, and then it would be Ethan Burrell, and that's all for the race lead. Once this field cycles through, Scott Crump, Josh Adams, Hank Steinmiller still to pit and holding out hope for a caution right now.
Brandon Key, Dylan Thomas, Clark, Heater, and Talon. Moving that out. 8 cars left to dive down pit road.
That'll back there for, I believe, the 18th position, but what would be about 9th on track. Tate Lytle and Matthew Bayuk give it to Bayuk. For once, pit stop cycle through, and Kyle Smalley is by Johnny Thomas. So for now, it's Ethan Burrell out front of Kyle Smalley, but what Ethan really needs is for these guys up front to go ahead and pit, get him a lap lead. He's also trying to get as many bonus points as he can at halfway. He's going to need to hold off Smalley for, I believe, 7 more laps in order to get that thing done. We'll probably give him that half on lap 38.
Would be a big break for Burrell if he could get that done.
I wonder if Josh Adams is staying out trying to make it to halfway and get a big bonus in terms of the bonus points.
At this point, I would say you almost have to, right? If you stayed out this long, give up those many laps on old tires, you got to try to get the bonus points.
Josh Adams is the race leader right now over Scott Crump, and Adams the first car that would be getting those 10 bonus points at halfway. Chris Wright by Johnny Thomas for what would be 4th when pit stop cycle through. And Lex is going to be what would be 5th. The lead Burrell has over Smalley is kind of quickly shrinking.
You're half a second now, the difference between the two.
Burrell does have a little bit older tires than Smalley, but Smalley's also just on a tear right now. Just running crazy good lap times. Very consistent.
It's closing very quickly.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for Ethan to be able to pull out the 10-point bonus. Especially if there's guys trying to make it on fuel and steal it from the points leaders here, but
it's 2 tenths now the difference between the two.
I think next lap Smalley's going to have an opportunity to make a run at Burrell. The hard part for Smalley is going to have to wait for Burrell to make a mistake. Applying pressure seems to be working. Now Smalley to the inside of Burrell. Up ahead, and he will take over the de facto race lead from Ethan Burrell. There it is. Kyle Smalley goes and runs down Ethan Burrell. It took him about 5 to 6 laps to go ahead and run down Ethan Burrell through a couple of lapped cars. Or not lapped cars, but a couple of other cars who are on differing strategies. Josh Adams doesn't make it to halfway.
Here he comes down pit road. Steinmiller will take over the lead. Crump in second. Brendan Keaton stay out in third. Clark, looks like Dylan Thomas, Heater, are going to stay out for the time being.
Interesting. I wonder if Adams maybe engages a bit of fuel saving to try to make it all the way at this point. I mean, he doesn't have much to lose. He's pretty far out of the championship right now, and not having the kind of run that'll keep him in it. So why not give it a go and see if he can't maybe save enough gas to get there and maybe get a top 5 finish out of it.
Steinmiller going to try to play spoiler and pick up these points at the halfway point.
Yep, Hank would be doing Ryan Lutz a favor if he could hold Burrell and Massey back. Team cars there, but Lutz, man, he is coming to the front. And there goes Hank down pit road already, so these guys just don't seem to have enough fuel to be able to make this strategy work.
We would assume that we're going to see Crump, Key, Clark, Peter, and Thomas here soon.
Talon just let Smalley and Ethan by.
And Thomas heading down pit road as well.
Now
we're down
Chad
to
again.
5 cars left. Talon's already been passed by guys on fresh tires. He still has to come down pit road, so does Heater, Clark, Key, and Crump.
And look at the running order there. Ethan Burrell, Harrison Talon, we mentioned, is going to have to come down pit road. Then Nick Massey, Chris Wright, and then Ryan Lutz. So just like that, Ryan Lutz is going to, I believe, complete... Oh, man!
Crump just nails the inside wall there entering pit road.
I think he's got a little bit of damage.
Looks like Key's coming.
Yep, all the rest of the cars, except for James Heater. Heater's the only one who's staying out here. And he's only 1.8 seconds ahead of Smalley. Heater's not going to be able to hold those guys off for much longer.
No, and I'd expect him to probably hit pit road maybe this time, or try to push it and get to that 38 mark, but does he have enough gas? That's going to be the question.
I don't think saving at this point is going to do you any good, because you have to think if he goes 37 more laps while saving, he's going to lose even more track position. He'd never be able to finish, where he's running right now. He bails on it. Heater in, the last car to pit, and that leaves Kyle Smalley ahead of Ethan Burrell, Nick Massey, Chris Wright, and Ryan Lutz. Your top 5
guys in the top 5.
Yeah, and realistically, your 4 guys that are battling for that championship at this point. It's going to be tough for some of these other guys to make it up and make up that ground if they don't get those halfway points at every race.
Be next time by, right, for the halfway points?
Mm-hmm. I believe once we cross the line next time through, that'll be all the halfway points. And Ryan Lutz only losing 4 points to Ethan Burrell, 1 point to Nick Massey, 3 points, 2 points to Chris Wright. It's a pretty good day, I would say, for Ryan Lutz after starting 12th.
Doing what he needs to do, and that's just run consistently in the top 10 to top 5. If you can pick up the win like he's done the last couple weeks, he'll enjoy it. Consistency wins championships, and that's what the 36 car is doing right now.
You think back to when we had the chase in NASCAR, Jimmy Johnson would do this exact thing, right? He'd win, at Dover, and he'd win it. At Charlotte early in the chase, and then coming down to it, everybody would realize, hey, we need that guy to make a mistake. And he'd have a bad qualifying run. You'd be like, finally, he's made the mistake. And then he'd be 5th, halfway into the race. And you're like, wait a minute, I thought that guy was making a mistake. Nope, he was just being consistent, staying within himself. That's how Jimmy Johnson won 5 championships in a row. That's what Ryan Lutz is going for this year.
Sherman, Cameron Rich right behind him in 6th and 7th. They might be gaining just a little bit of time, but wouldn't be surprised if Lutz is doing the same thing he did there before the pit stops, just saving his car a little bit.
That's a big point if Rich can get it. Oh, he couldn't get it. Rich couldn't only lose 1 point to Lutz there at halfway. He will lose 2. And he now makes the pass on Sherman. So one corner too late for Cameron Rich.
Looks like maybe Lutz conserving his car once again here, about halfway through this run.
Yeah, Lutz also was one of the first ones to come down pit road. I can't imagine that Rich has nearly the same tire level that Lutz does right now, but you're right also that Lutz loves to save. So these guys just pit here in 10 laps, lap 50, and then just go 25 once again.
What we would expect to see, there's around a lap car there.
Yep, Gallant Fambro just has not had a good day. I think he got into the wall very early in this race. One of the top 5 cars in practice, but could not really generate any speed in qualifying. And then once we got in the race, he pounded the wall off turn 2, and I think that was it for this 5 car.
Burrell had the lead off pit road. Now, to watch Smalley expand the lead that he already had before pit stops. Lead to 3 seconds now from 1st to 2nd.
That's a fairly huge margin in Indianapolis, and it's probably the biggest margin we've seen all year. Kyle Smalley, Indianapolis ringer, I would say. Like
Yeah,
Ron Fellows used to come dominate the Cup road courses.
I would say on an oval track, yes, this is the biggest lead we've seen because we saw Delicato just absolutely destroy everybody on the road course until the incident with the lap car. But yes, on the ovals, nobody has been able to check out like Smalley has been able to do here today.
I think that's a product of the cars, right? These Xfinity cars, very draft dependent, but a racetrack like Indianapolis, you know, the draft is there on those straightaways, but because everybody has it, it essentially negates that effect. And so the faster speed you can carry into these corners, the better. And I feel like Kyle Smalley just has a little more than some of the rest of these guys do. Yeah, I think the only guy who can really hang with him is sitting in 3rd place right now and pressuring Ethan Burrell for 2nd, and that's Chris Wright.
Wright trying to get back to that 2nd spot, but the downside to Chris Wright's position, finds himself having to work his way up to that 2nd spot both times now, and he's done that. That's just allowed Smalley to expand his lead. That's now 3.5 seconds over the rest of the field.
And what Chris Wright's going to need is a caution flag if he wants to have a chance to win this race. He desperately needs something to go his way here where it hasn't so far today. It's been all Kyle Smalley. He needed that race to stay green. It has, and he has pulled out a really large lead here in Indianapolis.
Lead grows by about 4/10 while those two do battle.
Now that it's past halfway, race is a little bit calm. You might want to take our sponsor break here. What do you think, Dom?
I think that sounds good.
Yeah, so let's hear a message here from Belly Up Sports and let them tell you about their latest podcast.
Boogity, boogity, boogity. This race break is brought to you by Aaron Puckberg, podcast on the Belly Up Sports Podcast Network. Your place for the daring, do bad, and good puck tales of the hockey community. But since this isn't a hockey event, I won't take up any more of your time. But feel free to check out the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes drop on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But until then, raise hell, praise Dale, and wake me up when we get to Talladega. Let's go racing, drivers.
All right, welcome back to Peak Antifreeze 200 at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the Belly Up Sports and ERSCA series. The Harpoon's design chase for the Belly Up. Just over halfway, 43 laps down of 75 in total.
Right as we went to kind of the commercial break there, Ryan Lutz got passed by Nick and Delicato. That 01 car is on a rail right now. He is one of the fastest cars on track. And once again, I just wonder if we could get that caution flag and get that restart. What can Nick and Delicato say about this Kyle Smalley domination?
It seems like that's just the story for Delicato this season. Just a bunch of what ifs. Just what if it would have went this way, or what if it would have went that way. But one car could have had a pretty fantastic season.
I completely agree. He's been there, right on the cusp at several races, including the All-Star race where he lost to that 36 car in kind of heartbreaking fashion late in the going. And it seemed like all of his races, I think it was North Wilkesboro or Nashville Fairgrounds, one of those. I think it was Nashville Fairgrounds, where he was really, really good out in front. Nick Massey ran him down, passed him, and took the win. And then obviously we've covered the Daytona Road Course where Nick and Delicato had a full minute lead on the field. I mean, it just didn't matter. Seems like Delicato just can't get any breaks. Bad qualifying run today. Can't get that track position, and then the race goes green.
Oh, and he even had trouble getting on pit road earlier today, too. I think in that first pit stop had trouble.
Yep. Around Thomas Sherman, though, he's in 6th spot. I do think he'd have something for him if he could get up there. It's just a matter of actually making it all the way to the race lead here. Kyle Smalley's just so far out in front, 4.5 seconds. Back to Chris Wright. A masterful performance by this 09 car.
Yeah, I think this is probably one of 3 races that we've really seen dominated this season. Dylan Thomas, Lernerville, and Delicato at the Daytona Road Course, and now here's Smalley at Indianapolis.
Yep, and oddly enough, right, I mean, Dylan Thomas was Tate Lytle using the bumper a little bit more aggressively than he did from not winning that race. And then obviously we mentioned it, the Nick and Delicato incident, he hasn't won a race there either, so being dominant hasn't necessarily resulted in race wins all this season. I think back to Atlanta, Ethan Burrell led over like 100 laps, did not win that race.
I think a couple races, I want to say maybe not 4 out of 5, but definitely first 5 races or so, dominant car didn't win the race, whether it was they got wrecked out in the final few laps or pit stop issues or whatever it was. But that's just kind of been the story this year, where may not, they may dominate all day, but when we get to the end of the race, something else happens, or they wreck or whatever else, and someone else takes the win from them.
Yeah, no, you think about Iowa, right? Ryan Lutz led 140 some odd, 150 something of 170 laps, and then the final corner, Gerald Campbell takes 2 tires, Lutz stays out, drives on by.
Close in on less than 30 laps left to go. Smalley now has a 5-second lead. That does not mean anything, as we just explained. So plenty of time for something to happen here in the peak Antifreeze 200.
Yeah, and we only say, here comes Cameron Rich coming down pit road. These guys are going to start short pitting, trying to gain that track position back and hoping for a caution. They did it before. I think they're going to do it again. And now I think the strategy, if I am, Kyle Smalley, Ethan Burrell, I want to stay out as long as possible here, because you need to come in, get those tires, but you don't want people to stay out longer and then run you down. Maybe not as long as possible. Maybe just 5 or 10 laps past where this group is going. But you maybe don't want to divide this directly into that 50 lap, 25 lap segment.
I do believe Smalley was on that back half of pit stops there that first time around. He did stay out a little bit longer. He didn't stay out as long as some of the others, but he's on the back half, let some of those guys come in behind him. Then made his way back through and has expanded his lead since. So we'll see if he sticks to that same strategy.
Yeah, I would think Smalley's going to try to pit at 54 once again, as here comes Delicato and Massey and Chad Bear all heading down pit road right now.
Yeah, as you can see there in the bottom right Carlos with another great graphic. Most of the guys coming in around 20 to 24, lap 20 to 24. Smalley stayed out to lap 27, so 3 more laps than fresher tires than the guys behind him.
Yeah. And that Marcus Adams graphic is wrong. I believe these two, Smalley and Adams, are team cars for kind of a affiliate of PRC, because they're all in the same group chat down in our Discord.
Well, we're closing in on that lap 50 mark. We've already seen cars start to come down pit road. We'll wait to see when our leaders start to come. One kind of staying the same spots though.
Yeah, I'm looking back, trying to see who's got the advantage, and I think it's Cameron Rich back there. I think he's the top car on fresh tires.
I'm saying Nick Massey just came down pit road. I see him gone from the top 10.
And Massey came with Indelicato there, and Massey is just a little bit behind Rich. So Rich did jump in Massey and Indelicato on that pit stop. It's all Kyle Smalley though. Right now he's that battle back in the field. I believe this is currently 6th place. Tate Lytle, Matthew Weeks, a couple of teammates. Right in front of Marcus Adams and Scott Crump.
We're officially 2/3 of the way done here. 25 to go. Everyone expected to make one more pit stop. Some have already came down pit road and are good to go to the finish. Just the top 20 has not.
One of those that is coming down pit road right now is Ethan Burrell in that 37 car, 3rd in points driver. Ryan Lutz has stayed out, and I look at this group of 4 up on the top screen. Scott Crump is able to save. Okay, well maybe not. Scott Crump able to save if he gets in behind those guys and runs at about half throttle. He's able to save up some gas, and he was only about a lap or 2 from being able to make it on fuel. So, he's not there anymore, but I wonder if Scott Crump shouldn't try to get up and draft these guys, run it, 3/4 throttle, trying to save up a little gas. I mean, what's Scott Crump got to lose?
That's right, coming down pit road now. Lutz going to tuck in as well, and it looks like Idle coming down as well.
Yep. 3 of our points contenders right there, heading down pit road lap 51. For their final pit stop of the day. I haven't seen any speeding penalties. I haven't seen anybody slide over their box. I think the only the problem on the pit stop was Gerald Campbell last time through, that I've seen anyway.
Definitely just jinxed somewhere.
I know. We'll see. We've seen Nick Delicato and Crump get sideways entering pit road.
Molly hasn't raced with us for the whole season, but you probably just jinxed him. I'm just like,
Is he really too powerful? Am I powerful enough to pull a jinx on someone who hasn't raced for it with us? We'll see. Looks like Smalley was, taking it easy getting onto pit road. And Thomas Sherman is that green car behind him. Sherman was kind of eating into that lead a little bit.
and if you are Smalley, you've dominated this race. You had a 6-second lead coming onto pit road before everyone started pitting, so you might as well take your time, make sure you don't make a mistake like we just said we were going to jinx him on, and take your time, make sure everything goes good, because you got the speed in the car to beat everybody.
Yep, he just has to be careful and hit his marks the rest of the way, and that'll be all she wrote. But now is when we finally are going to get that final run, and these guys are going to push it a little more than they have before, I think. In these side-by-side battles, we're going to start seeing a little more contact get made. That's where one of these wrecks could potentially happen. But so far, we haven't had a caution since Martinsville. So that's
David,
it's going well so far.
You're trying, aren't you?
I am. Testing the waters. Man, with all that speed, the lead for Smalley didn't even evaporate at all. Massey is still behind the 09.
I was watching that gap right here. They're probably gonna be pretty close. It's less than a couple tenths between the two, but if Smalley can pull that out and hold off Nick Massey here, it's gonna be be incredible.
Ethan Burrell has lost a ton of time. To him, all things considered, he is way back now. 5th spot, I believe, on track among the cars that have pitted already. It'll be Smalley, Massey, Cameron, Rich, and Delicato, then Ethan.
Well, that's good.
Lutz is, man, he's pretty far back. He's 16th right now, and we have, what, 6 cars that need to pit still?
He's in the top. He just moved up to 15th, so he's in the 9th spot.
Yep. 9th spot by proxy.
He lost a little bit of time on pit road, too.
Steinmiller has run it long both times here. Josh Adams, Brandon Scott, Brandon Key, and James Heater, the 5 cars that are running it long once again, testing the water, seeing how far they can make it on fuel, and whether or not that elusive caution flag will come out. They've got to do it without giving up 18 seconds to Kyle Smalley.
Steinmiller kind of holding Adams at bay at the moment, just over a second lead.
Yep, those guys have only run 21 laps, so there's going to be a few laps of this right here with Steinmiller and Adams trying to battling it out for that race lead. Let's see if those guys, are trying to save or trying to stretch it out to the end. I can't see why you wouldn't, is my point here on this. Maybe for Josh Adams, he is in the points. He does need to kind of try to pick up as much as he can. But if you're Hank Steinmiller, you joined the league a little bit late. You're not really running for points. You're running for wins. Why not go out there and try to, save fuel, pick up a top 3 finish?
Smalley has started to expand his lead up by 1.5 plus seconds now over Nick Massey, who would inherently become the 2nd place spot. Nick and Delicato's got it on Cameron Rich for the 3rd spot. It's 9th spot or 8th spot at the moment.
Chris Wright just went around Shad Bear for what is 11th, but is actually 6th. I think Wright just ended up pitting a little too late to be able to, make up that ground. Heater coming down pit road.
We'll check one of them off. He'll make his way down and up.
A little bit of an interesting spot here. Brandon Key up in front of Kyle Smalley. And Key's going to end up letting him go. I was going to say, if he holds up Smalley at all, that could help his teammates. But Brandon Key goes out of the way to let him go. Moves on.
No Ross Chastain situation.
Steinmiller with 34 laps on his first set.
Doing 34 the first time, 12 more would put him 7 short of the finish line. Fair spin.
Spinner on the back. It is Casey Hash in the 45, and he tows it straight to the garage. There will be no caution. So the first major incident of the day results in no yellow.
Miller was hoping for that caution to come out.
Mm-hmm.
So was Nick Massey, so he could kind of close this gap back in on Smalley, who's starting to check out on everybody.
That could have been an incident right there. Steinmiller dropped below Scott Crump there, right as James Heater had come off of pit road. They about made contact there. Steinmiller's going to have to let Heater go on those fresh tires. Looks like no replay for the Casey Hatch crash. Casey a little too far back for us to be able to pick him up spinning, but it's off turn 2 there. You can kind of make your own judgment, I believe. Probably one of those times where we saw somebody get loose. It just resulted in a slide. Another one. Josh Clark, and there's nose damage to that 28 car. In the same place, yeah, that's wild. And Clark re-enters the track. He's going slow, but it's not slow enough to bring out the caution. So 2 in a row. In turn 2, we might have a replay on that one.
He just got back on the track just in time. There's heater right there, so leaders are coming through in just a second.
Clark with that spin. And it honestly would have been more beneficial for his teammates if he had actually spun it out. You're having some replay issues there. Getting that one back in, but guys, I'm looking on the leaderboard. Am I missing something here? Because I don't see Ethan Burrell. Ethan Burrell's back in 20th. I think Ethan Burrell just came to pit road.
He's one lap down right now.
Did he speed? Would that have been it? Oh, caution's out.
There it is.
Caution on the speedway.
Hey.
I don't know what that would have been for.
See smoke. Someone spin.
Brandon Scott?
And to enter pit road, maybe? Well, David jinxed it.
I sure did. Oh, right there.
But yeah, yep. Not the first one we've seen have trouble getting on pit road, and he backs it up onto the racetrack.
He just slid up onto the track a little bit, and that's, you know, with 3 incidents there in 3 laps, that was a bit chaotic. Not sure why that would have been a caution, and I'm going to send Ethan Burrell a message and see why he was on pit road. Yeah, let's send Emily. It's caution time, Emily, and Indianapolis has some really long pace laps. Let's see if you can't get a couple of stories for us.
Sounds good, guys. I will report back with my findings.
She had to kick her feet up and sit back for the last race in 2/3, 3/4. So.
Yep. Between California and here, that was, I believe, 160 straight green flag laps of racing here in ERSCA.
That's all right. We made it. We had 20 plus cautions 2 weeks ago. We spaced them out over 3 races now.
Yep.
We're good. Balanced it out.
Yeah. What a caution for Hank Steinmiller and Josh Adams. They are going to be the winners in all this because they are going to have fresh tires. Everyone else has to stay out. They need the track position. So there you go. I think that's the key there. And these guys are going to have a really big advantage. And if everybody comes down around them, like Smalley and Massey and Delicato, they'll be the race leaders. So let's see if everybody pits or just the front 2. It's going to be everybody. Everybody's coming down pit road. Nobody wants to gamble on older tires.
Was Burrell's a lap down, right?
Yep, I believe he is. Well, horribly timed caution for Ethan Burrell.
To say, because he could technically stay out right now because he just came down pit road. But
yeah, that's what he'll do. He'll go get that wave around and try to work his way through the field late. With a 1-groove track, like I was talking about, we're gonna see, I think, a little bit of chaos here. It's like the pit stops are good. I was looking to see if anybody was going to get 2 tires. Adams is out way ahead of everybody else. Then it'll be Smalley, Massey, and Delicato, the front 4. Steinmiller may have been trying to hang back there a little bit. I'm not sure whether he just had a slow stop or what.
It'll be interesting. Smalley's going to get the outside row number 1 here on the restart, which means Massey will be on the inside of row number 2. It'll be something to watch here as we conclude this one.
Yeah, Massey and Adams are going to be working together in that Discord call. So let's find out what Emily found out on maybe the first of hopefully 2 stories from pit road. Emily, what you got for us first time?
Hey guys, so I just jumped down into Pro Edge Racing and talked to those guys. I asked Ethan what happened to him. He said his crew chief did not tell him the right thing to do, didn't get him gas, so he had to pit to refuel. So that was the issue with him. And I guess like lap 2, Tate and Colin Fambro kind of got into it a little bit. Tate said he was kind of like right hooking him a little bit. So wasn't too happy there, but those guys seem like they've had some better days. So we'll see how the remaining laps go for them.
Emily, maybe you want to go grab Nick Massey and Chris Wright, or yeah, Nick Massey, Chris Wright, and Josh Adams. See what those guys are thinking, trying to beat that '09 car as well.
Championship mistake right there. Do you think that cost Burrell a shot at the championship?
There's a lot of race to go, and I think being in the back is dangerous here, but it could also be a beneficial moment for Ethan here, where maybe the leaders could potentially be the ones to get into it. Just depends on if this race gets chaotic or if it stays a little more calm the rest of the way. But I kind of envision that these guys have pent up some aggression for the last 160 green flag laps. I think we're going to see some guys let it out and start kind of door bumping each other. Emily's back. Emily, what you got? Oh, she never left. Never mind. She's coming. Got to go quick. We're at 1 to go here. 13 laps remaining. It'll be 12 when Josh Adams gets to the start-finish line to take the lead. These pace laps in Indianapolis super long though, so there's a good bit until those guys go ahead and get the race lead and try to hold off Kyle Smalley.
The guy that might receive some of that door banging is Smalley here. These guys on the inside know they have to keep him behind them if they want any shot to win this thing.
I think Massey's the one who needs to go grab the lead and hold on to it. Brandon Key is up to 5th. This caution worked out well for him as well. Emily, what are they thinking down there?
They're hyped up down there. I don't know if I can say some words that you said, but they're excited to win. They're super amped up. Josh Buddy's just trying to keep the 09 behind them and get going here. So they're amped up. I have a good feeling about those guys in Rebens racing right now.
Yep, pace car is off and Adams goes real early. That's what it's going to take. Those guys are going to have to work really hard to get around this 09 car. But he gets in front of Nick Massey. What can Josh Adams do to hold off Kyle Smalley? No one's been able to do it so far today. Delicato kind of pinning Massey to the bottom, not letting him get up there to help his teammate against this 09.
Smalley all over the back of Adams here as we got 12 to go.
This is where you're going to see these guys not give an inch. Josh Adams has to ride that bottom lane, forcing it. Smalley to, go up around him on the outside. He can hold him off. This is a one-group track. It's got Smalley would have to make a move in a risky spot in order to beat him here.
Cars fanning out all the way down the front stretch, 2, 3, 4 wide
Block.
in some spots.
Big block by Adams up front. Huge block. Man, and Adams overdrove it. So did Smalley.
Comes Massey to the inside. He's going to get a run. Go with Smalley
They might
crossover.
crash each other. Here comes Delicato now. He's going to go for it. Adams holding it up top. Fighting and everything to keep that 09 car back from the race lead. They know what happens when he gets out front.
It's just as chaotic back deep in the pack. Cars all over the place. Smalley with the run on Adams probably going to be able to clear him here in 2.
Not good for the field. Adams trying to hold him on the outside, doing everything he can in that 95 car. I mean, that's Josh Adams' championship right here. If he can win this race, that would be huge.
David said about 30 laps ago, if we get a caution, this 01 car might have a say in things. Here comes Delicato to the inside. He's got Smalley right in front of him. Can he clear Adams and have a shot at a win?
Oh man, but that 09 car's out front now, and that's all she wrote for the most part for the rest of this race. You see him here pulling away early. I mean, they got to stop battling if they want to go run him down. Man, a lot of side-by-side racing here for a one-group track, and Chris Wright and Cameron Rich bouncing off each other. That's for 5th place. Ryan Lutz sitting comfortably in the top 10 in 9th place, just kind of hanging out at the back end of the top 10, trying to go ahead and get a finish here and move on.
Delicato gonna clear Adams for the 2nd spot.
Yeah, they spent a long time running side by side though.
With Smalley only able to make up 0.4 of a second on these guys. Can Delicato close that gap back down?
I don't know. But, we'll see finally, I think, what this 01 car really has. By the way, the progress for Ethan Burrell, he is 26th. So unless the caution comes out, I think you're right. That could be the championship losing result for Ethan Burrell. Delicato's not getting gapped. He's maintaining with Smalley. He's going to have to find a little more speed, but he is right there. Bogart and Sherman. Oh, Steinmiller up high. He and Weeks got together. Those guys do not like each other all that much. Man, Weeks hit the wall.
Delicato found something.
Delicato just gained another 10th on Smalley. We could have a battle for the win as one of our playoff drivers heads backwards. Absolutely wild finish here to this race, which was pretty tame up until that lap caution. Those guys need to stay single file. If they start racing for second place, you can kiss the win goodbye.
Adams is going to look underneath and get it done. And Delicato cut it by a 10th about a lap ago. It stayed consistent this time. Pushing on the verge of cutting it down inside 3/10 now.
Yep, and these guys just have to stay. Like I'm saying, if Adams wants a chance to win the race, he has to let Delicato go run Smalley down. He cannot go trying to pass this 01 car. If he does, he'll just cost them any chance at winning the race. He should be much more interested in helping this 01 get to the back bumper of that 09. 7 laps to go, and a bunch of cars chasing down the race leader.
How about two non-playoff drivers having big implications here in the final of this one? 3 guys trying to tag along with them to try to somehow pull out a win here against Ryan Lutz.
Yeah, it would be big. It's a pretty decent gain for Massey and Wright, though not nearly enough. Bottoms looks again on Delicato, and again Delicato shuts the door, and now the gap is starting to widen. Back to half a second for Kyle Smalley.
Just over another little 10th here. I'm going to look to the outside of Delicato. Can't have anything there. Falls back in line. Gap now over 0.5 of a second.
So those Rubbins Racing guys right there, they're working together on these straightaways. Now Delicato looks like he's holding up Josh Adams a little bit. Not eating into the lead anymore, and here comes Massey underneath his teammate. Enough racing in this field, but this race is not over yet. Could be a caution at any point here.
That's right. Look under Adams as well.
All this off the back bumper of Nick and Delicato. Rich going to try to get around Adams, and Adams throws the block for his teammates. Rich cannot be happy about that one. He'll get around him in turn 1. Adams with those very, very bold blocks so far tonight. The most aggressive in that term. Neither one of them ended in a wreck, though.
It was pretty dang close, though.
Massey getting some blinking. Need to stay in it to finish third, Nick. Oh, Adams sideways. Oh, and he's still... Man, Adams is not under control right now. Ryan Lutz had to get out of the gas to avoid running over that 95 car. Another block by Adams. And Lutz just bumped into him.
Ryan, you don't want to do that.
Tate Lytle's going to go right around Ryan Lutz. 3 wide entering turn 1. All that very, very risky for the points leader. And Lutz has to keep a cool head.
I was going to say, I understand he's a little upset with Adams, but you cannot put yourself in a position there of trying to rock him and getting yourself involved.
Lutz definitely going to show Adams his displeasure.
A run behind him. Comes by you
by
with a
you,
big
yeah.
run. He got pushed down to the bottom.
Lutz will take that 8th place back from Josh Adams. Adams really struggling entering these corners. I think he over-revved the right rear tire there, and it's really just not getting up off the corner. Delicato's starting to eat back into the Kyle Smalley lead. 3 laps to go.
This is what we've been more accustomed to here in the ERSCA season. Runs of they're pulling out just a little bit and then falling back a little bit. Smalley definitely not able to get the advantage he had earlier where he checked out for 75% of this race. 2.5
Delicato
laps go
hounded the wall.
Into the wall goes Nick and Delicato. Here comes Chris Wright and Nick Massey around him. Second and third. Can they have a say? Gap now almost 0.8 of a second from first to second.
That's a big points implication too. Nick and Delicato now off the podium. Those two back onto the podium, and Ryan Lutz nowhere to be found. 8th place is their championship threat. So a strong gain for these two championship hopefuls, trying to work together and go run down Smalley and grab a couple of extra points. 2 laps to go. I don't think they're going to get Smalley, so unless the caution comes out this lap, I think that one's going to be all over. But the big moment of this race for sure, for me, is Delicato bouncing it off the wall and giving that extra point to Massey and Wright.
And especially with where we're headed next week, any points you can make up right now is going to be huge. Has to give them some confidence, knowing that Ryan Lutz hasn't picked up another race win. They've closed the gap and can have a big swing in the points next week, just depending on how it all goes down.
Massey, Kyle Smalley trying to go ahead and get to the line, avoid that caution flag. And as long as that thing turns white, we will finish this race this time. Yep, Smalley hits the line. White flag is out one more time around at Indianapolis. And the dominant car might actually win this one if he hits his spots 4 more times.
Dave, you said it was 20 points between first and second, right?
Yes.
But now you got to feel like if you were Massey, knew you were still in it, but now you got to feel like you're right back in it.
I think Massey, Wright, and Rich have absolutely closed the gap enough to where Talladega is now a breeding ground for opportunity for those guys rather than a chance for them to get caught up in something. You know, it's all opportunity from here on out. But really, it's Kyle Smalley. I mean, that was an impressive drive. Absolutely put on a show and dominated today. I mean, we didn't even hardly talk about him because it was so in hand. Kyle Smalley's going to win the Peak Antifreeze 200 for ERSCA. Rather easily. Second is Massey. Third is Wright. Fourth, Rich. Fifth, and Delicato.
An absolute spoiler here for Smalley as he takes the win. Holds off 2 championship contenders and Nick Massey, Chris Wright, Rich, and Delicato round out the top 5.
And what a disappointment for Ethan Burrell. 25th place finishing after a no fuel pit stop there. Ruins his night. Matthew Weeks bounced it off the fence. His night ends up ruined. He's 24th. Tate Lytle's going to come back to 7th. That's a pretty impressive drive back through the field for a guy who was in the wall early in the race.
Burrell won the regular season championship, right?
Yep, by 1 point over Lutz.
1 point over Lutz. So, might be it. He might have got the regular season championship, but he goes from leading coming in to dropping down to 3rd before this one, and now possibly could be completely out of the championship hunt.
Yep, that's huge. I did not see that coming for Ethan Burrell. He just hasn't quite had that extra gear that Ryan Lutz and some of these other guys have shown. Kyle Smalley came in. He had 2 extra gears on the rest of these guys. But Nick Massey and Chris Wright, I mean, they have been 2nd and 3rd 2 races in a row. Let's hit the finishing order before we bring up our top 3 for interviews. Here it is. We mentioned the top 5 there, same as before. Chad Bear 6th, Tate Lytle 7th, Ryan Lutz 8th, Matthew Bayuk 9th, and Marcus Adams finishes in the top 10. Jared Mogard gets 11th, Gerald Campbell 12th. Both of them had their issues today. Joe Francis, Thomas Sherman spent some time in the top 5. Johnny Thomas, Josh Adams falls all the way to 16th. And then James Heater, Hank Steinmiller round out your top 18. '19th Harrison Talon, 20th Z Shundura, Scott Crump 21st. A lot on the rest of these guys. I think they're all caught up in those late race incidents. Caleb Thompson, Brandon Key, Matthew Weeks, Ethan Burrell, Kyle Hanshaw, Richard Lafferty, and then all the way back. Dylan Thomas was out late. Colin Fambro, Josh Clark, Chad Frankenfield. Frankenfield went out late as well. Difficult night for a lot of those guys who had some speed early on. So let's send it down to Emily for race interviews. Take it away.
Perfect. I'm going to bring up our 3rd place finisher, Chris Wright, first. Hey, Chris, do you have a copy?
Yep, what's up?
All right, well, 3rd place last week, 3rd place tonight. I feel like the confidence has to be kind of boosted for you, especially keeping Ryan Lutz off of the podium. How are you feeling after this one here?
I feel pretty good. You know, it was a good night. I felt like we were the 2nd best car. We got 3rd at the stage because some guys short pitted, and then, you know, with that caution coming from, I'm very proud of the drive from 8th to 3rd here. It's really hard to pass.
Yeah, what was your strategy for fuel and just tire conservation for this one here?
Coming in, it was going to be 25 and 25 after I saw the laps have changed. So that was what I came in with. And then those guys short pitted a little bit. So I stayed out, I think, a lap or 2 longer. I was just trying to see if Kyle would pit, maybe get a lap led.
And were you working with Nick at all to kind of get you guys both up there again this one?
No, not really. You know, we just each had good pace. It's not a whole lot you can do here outside of maybe the restarts. If, you know, we only had, 1 yellow tonight. So, like, just letting each other go and whatnot. Like, you know, at the end, we raced really hard. I obviously couldn't get by him at the end.
And what about Kyle there? Were you guys just trying to run after him the entire race? Did you think you were going to get him at any point here?
I thought if we lined up together, I could run with him. You know, I qualified 5th. By the time I got to 2nd, he'd had, you know, a gap already. And we were matching lap times with him. And so I thought if we catch a caution, we'll line up with him. But the time of that caution was just in the middle of pit stops. So having to restart 8th versus him in 2nd, it really killed us.
All right, well, what is the strategy from here on out for these remaining races?
Just try to, you know, you got to hope something happens to Lutz. That's pretty much where it stands. We do have Dega out there, you know, but I feel like tonight we created a gap to the guys behind us. And so we can race for that, you know, that 2nd spot in points and hope that maybe Lutz has some kind of issue or something. But that's basically where it's at. Without Lutz having a problem, we're going to be racing for 2nd.
Before we let you go, are there any shout-outs you would like to give tonight?
Yeah, you guys here at the broadcast, you know, I'm sure it was a great broadcast. I can't wait to go back and rewatch it. Everybody at Belly Up Sports and Chairgating, you know. Brad Brantley paints all the cars. Harpoon Designs. Need a car painted, go talk to Brantley. And everybody at ERSCA and Johnny. I know it takes a lot to run these leagues, and had a good time. These last 2 weeks have been a lot of fun. We've had, 1 caution in the last 2 races after.
I know. I think you guys are just tired of hearing from me, so.
We're just tired of pacing. You're more than welcome to come in under green if you want, but we just don't want to pace.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for the time tonight, Chris, and congratulations on coming in 3rd.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
You too. All right. I am going to bring in our 2nd place finisher, Nick Massey. Hey, Nick, do you have a copy?
Yeah, I got you guys.
All right. 2nd place last week, 2nd place tonight. How did this one feel for you?
Pretty good. I was running, you know, top 4 or 5 all night, so pretty solid. Can't complain. Made up some points on Lutz, which is good. Wish I could have got the win and make up a little more, but just what I gotta do, you know. Try to keep the pressure on Lutz, man. He's so far out there in points. Gotta reel him back in a little bit.
Yeah, I did pick you to win. I thought you were gonna get up there, but I think second's pretty good too, especially since you guys were able to hold Ryan off. Was there a point in this race tonight that you kind of felt like it was a turning point for you?
I felt like the second pit stop there around that like 50. I short pitted a little bit because I saw like some guys did that and they weren't losing a lot of time, and they were jumping, you know, 4 or 5 cars doing it. So I tried that, and I think I was gonna finish either second or third there if that played out. But I didn't know what to expect on that last yellow or the one yellow of the race. I didn't know where people were gonna restart. People were gonna take 2 because there's only like 15 laps left, so that was a little nerve-wracking, but all worked out.
And the first place finisher, Kyle Smalley, how was he kind of competing against him tonight?
It was good. You know, it's cool when guys can come in here and do a one-off and just join in race and they're good like that. He pretty much had everybody covered all night. I think maybe Chris might have had something for him. I think Chris is probably the second best car tonight. But yeah, he was just gone. Like, there was no running him down at all. Just driving away. Nothing us ERSCA boys could do.
Well, a few races remaining here in the chase. What's your kind of mindset, strategy to close these ones out?
Where do we go next week? Daytona or Dega or something like that? So that's going to be...
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be nuts. I have no idea what's going to happen. Like, nobody has any idea what's going to happen there. I mean, you could lose the championship there. You can get right back in it. You know, anything can happen. If I get through Dega with a solid finish, I feel pretty good about the last 2 tracks there, Richmond and Vegas, I believe.
Before we let you go tonight, are there any shout-outs you would like to give?
Yeah, just a shout out to you guys for putting on the broadcast. Shout out to the boys back at the shop, put together a solid piece. And shout out to all my teammates there, Chris, Josh, Brandon, and Colin. It's fun racing them all night too, so.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for the time, Nick, and congratulations on coming in second.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Congrats to Kyle, too, by the way. I don't think I said that, but have a good night.
Let him know. Thanks. All right, and with that, I'm going to bring in our race winner, Kyle Smalley. Hey, Kyle, do you have a copy?
I do.
All right, well, first race for ERSCA. What were your thoughts on the league and how this one went for you tonight?
I enjoyed it a lot. I mean, Joe and Zishan were always telling me how good this league is, and then to join it for one race and then have this kind of race, only one caution at Indy, where normally Indy is known for the cautions. So that was nice to have. Tons of respect when I was passing people. They were letting me by, and that battle for the win with Josh at the end was a ton of fun. I really enjoyed myself.
Good. Well, you were dominant pretty much the entire race. So what was it about this specific track that worked so well for you tonight?
I don't know. It's just something with Indy that it suits my driving style, because you have to be really consistent. Every corner looks the same, but every corner is different. So you just have to hit your marks, and then you can really, if you save that right rear just a little bit, you can really get off the turns 2 and turns 4 really well. And I think I did that, and just doing the pit strategy, pitting one lap after everybody behind me, I think is what gave me the lead to pull away after pit stops as well, just because I had that 1 or 2 lap pressure tires.
Is that kind of your strategy coming into it? Did you stick to it as far as pit strategy?
Well, I was gonna go like as far as I could on fuel, but then I noticed that we were like 2 to 3 seconds slower a lap, and I didn't want to give that much time up. So I pretty much just based my strategy off people behind me and seeing when they would pit, and then just pit 1 or 2 laps after them.
It seemed like the guys were excited for you to come in here. Nick said congratulations, by the way. We just talked to Nick Massey, who finished second. Was there a point in the race for you where you kind of felt like maybe you weren't going to finish first, or did you feel confident pretty much this entire time?
For those long runs, I felt pretty confident that I would be able to keep the lead just because of my tire situation. But when that caution came out, I knew I was going to have to battle, and then Josh, that was a fun battle. Like to be that close to Indy for 1 or 2 laps, however long it was, and then for us to enter turn 1 at the wall. It's crazy. So really enjoyed myself. I want to shout out Nick, or not Nick, Josh for that race, and then congrats to Nick and Chris. Chris was giving me a run for that first run. He was steadily just 2 to 2.5 seconds behind me, and so I thought maybe if he saved tires a little bit more, he would have been that close to me.
Can we expect to see you on any more races?
Not this year, but maybe next year. I'm not really positive.
All right. Well, we'll keep an eye out for you. Thanks so much for the time tonight, Kyle, and congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
All right, guys. See you.
Yeah. With that, that's about all she wrote for this fourth to final ERSCA race from Indianapolis, the Peak Antifreeze 200. Guys, any final thoughts, Emily?
I'm honestly shocked that this did not have more cautions. I didn't think it was going to go that way. Again, pretty much a clean race, but I'm glad for the guys. It seems like they all enjoy. It goes pretty clean. So it was a fun one here tonight. I think it's going to be interesting, especially with Ryan not finishing at the top, and see how it goes from here on out.
I kind of agree with what Emily had to say there. I think we were on the verge of this championship kind of starting to be towards wrapping up for Ryan Lutz, and I think tonight just throws everything back in, especially as we head to a super speedway next week. Looks like this championship can be wide open if a couple things go the right way for a couple guys next week.
Yeah, I'm absolutely stoked for Talladega. That's the perfect place to go here late in the chase to really shake things up. You know, I think Ethan Burrell's still in it if he can go out and win, and if he can get the right people caught up in wrecks. But boy, Nick Massey sure looks like a real contender to Ryan Lutz. And, you know, I look forward. Richmond, that's a Ryan Lutz track. He's very, very good there. Those guys are going to need to find a way to beat Ryan Lutz at Richmond in order to steal away that championship, so Lutz doesn't have just an easy run at Vegas for it. But again, next week could change everything. That's the one you're going to want to watch. Come back again, 3Wide TV, Belly Up Sports. We're going to be bringing it to you from Talladega. All the laps. I think last time we went to a plate track was Daytona, and we ended up missing some of the laps. We're not missing them to this time. Carlos is doing an amazing job for us with 3Wide TV, and we couldn't be more grateful to him. So for David Westergreen, Dom Santina, Emily Harlan, tune in next week, and good night, everybody.